So moving right along here, Bill Maher suggests that Caitlin Clark is being attacked by the WNBA because she isn't gay. What are your immediate thoughts when you hear that?
It's so funny to me how everyone thinks everyone in the WNBA is gay, as if there are no heterosexual women in the WNBA. So
but would you argue that it's majority?
Oh, come on.
No, would I argue that it's majority? I mean, I don't know really say majority.
Hey,
It's not really an argument there.
Denise, did you have a comment?
Anyone that's played basketball knows there's a lot of lesbians.
Go ahead,
No,
Denise.
see, a lot is different.
Hold on. Denise, go ahead. What was your thought? I'm sorry.
I think that it's one thing to, you like who you like and whatever, but I think it gets a bad rep because these girls are like marrying their teammates and
But like, what does that matter though? Like, love.
It does matter. I mean, that's business and pleasure. You don't think that's a little mixy?
Totally fine.
No.
Do you? But I think that that's why people are so like judgmental about it. I think that's like I thought that his comment was pretty ignorant, but but I do think that that's probably why people just like assume and people like to go with one story and don't have all the facts and whatnot. But
so was he wrong or was he righteous in what he said? And did he lie? Is the real question. He's wrong? Okay. Pearl, what do you feel?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it could be, but like there are a lot of gay people in the WNBA. Let's just be honest here. There's a lot.
I mean, there are.
And I do think
there are a lot of gay people.
I do think that the media pushes a certain narrative, but I wouldn't.
What narrative would that be? Exactly?
I mean, I think anyone that falls into like the woke LGBT whatever, like they'll push forward as an icon. But I wouldn't say there's enough evidence that I would make it definitive.
Okay.
So.
What about you, Brittany? What about you?
I mean, do I think
is it righteous? What's up?
So what are my thoughts about the Bill Maher comment? Was I saying Bill Maher about Caitlin Clark being attacked? So you guys know I'm biracial, right? So I'm black and white. So I'm like
ditto twin.
Gray area. Like literally I'm gray.
That's not right.
Am I black? Am I white? I'm gray. And I think I came out of a white pussy. So I can say this. I can say cracker or honky. And I feel like white women in particular, or just white people, they are just very fragile. White women specifically. So I think there's this whole narrative that she's like this little victim that's just getting picked on and bullied by all like the big black girls. And it just needs to stop. You heard it here first.
I'm actually trying to figure out what was the unpolitically correct part because it's the truth. Like,
I'm like, because she's not gay. It's like, please, it's
not.
No, at the end of the day, bitches gotta earn their dues. They gotta pay their dues. So you come into a league, you think you're gonna be the face of it. That's not gonna happen. Okay,
it's already happened. Come on.
But the thing is you have to pay your. But it didn't happen because at the end of the day, if she really was using her white privilege would have got her on the Olympic team. But it didn't. It stopped there because there's still some traditional steps that you have to go through. You got to pay your dues. So I think what people are wanting is her to skip the line because she's white. Because there's an Eminem and there's a Caitlin Clark.
And I can speak on it because I'm white. I'm half white. I came out of a white pussy. I can say it.
You can't. Oh, my God, came out. But that's the truth, though. I'm sorry. People don't want to say that, but it's like these white women are just very fragile. And I just am like, fragile and also conniving. So I just feel like for me, well, I'm half conniving. Watch your back. So it's just I just think that's like for me, it's like everybody wants to. But what I will say is I think white people collectively, they're very happy to have somebody in the race.
Yeah.
Oops.
I agree.
Oops.
I
Oops. They ain't had nobody to cheer for, but now they got Caitlin Clark, the great white hope.
Okay, well,
Why do we need the white hope in 2024? My earpiece will not go in.
Look, I'm telling
It doesn't want to. It doesn't fit. Take the shot. So I'm sorry. Do we have any objections to what I said? Anybody? 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 Can I get a?
I'm I don't really agree, but I see, you know, I wouldn't say I follow it crazy close, so I'm not gonna. But the clips that I've seen, I would say were pretty aggressive even for basketball. That's what I would say.
Oh, girl.
But
Angel Reese getting chokeslam isn't a story because you know why? It's a black on black crime.
No way.
It goes right under the radar. Oh, well, this happens all the time. Yeah, fuck this fucking earpiece. I'm sorry.
Plus, it's like, to be fair, yeah, I think it's trying to give like, oh, we have this hopelessness. It's definitely giving, we're trying to criminalize, we're trying to villainize, we're trying to typecast, we're trying to use a certain energy to be able to create certain images and identities for certain people to be confined within, not to have success. And it really goes down to the brainwashing of like even how people treat people, how people view people, how people get profiled, all these different things. And it really is down to those semantics, like for real. So even when we look at just like the agenda of what's going down behind all these conversations with, like you're saying, Caitlyn, and how we're trying to have this push. And mind you, it's like you see Angel getting pushed, you see all these other girls getting in fights, you see all this other stuff happening that honestly might even be arguably more intense than some of the things that we've seen that's happened to Caitlyn. But because she's a viral conversation.
She's a little white girl.
Because of that, because yes, real talk, like honestly, like the push for that is very real because the game of basketball has been dominated by who?
And also, we live in a very racist country. I don't know why that's like groundbreaking.
We live in a
news.
racist world.
Well, we live in a racist world.
There's a
So
genocide
that's
right
why,
now.
like, we're going back to what you said yesterday about the storyline. White versus black. I don't know why people want to act like that's it's the race war. It's all of that. It puts its division. It is like,
well, I mean, it's always going to be all of that because it's the WNBA, right? It's a league that is majority LGBTQIA+. It's a league that is majority black women. And I remember the Sports Business Journal doing a study in 2020 where they literally surveyed 550 articles. And of the 550 articles, 112 names mentioned were white players and 55 names mentioned were black players. So black players don't even get the same amount of marketing, even within storytelling or any of that. So it's one of those things that's so obvious, but everyone wants to tiptoe around the race conversation. But you can't tiptoe around the race conversation because it's quite literally what drives almost every narrative behind it. And I feel really bad for Caitlyn sometimes, to be honest, because Caitlyn, whether she thinks it or feels it, I don't know, and I can't say definitively because I've never heard her say it. I've never seen it. I've spoken to Caitlyn many times. I've never seen it or talked to her or about any of that. But it is the media and people within the media structure, and it is certain people who are fans of hers that continue to drive this narrative, and they're running with it.
I think I've never seen clips of her doing any of it back. Have you?
Clips of her doing what back?
Like overly aggressive play.
No.
No.
That's not her style.
But that's my point.
Caitlyn get physical out there. I've seen several
Oh,
players.
wait, I've seen her throw some elbows, actually. As a matter of fact,
Caitlyn threw an elbow at Kennedy Carter, which is why Kennedy Carter came up on her and hip checked her the way she did. She talks junk on the court. I seen it. I literally just saw it. And that's okay because that's what competitors do. But everyone is going to respond differently. So I can't be mad. If Kennedy decides that she wants to hip check me, maybe her get back might be, I'm just going to talk shit to you the whole game. Everybody's response is different, but Caitlyn absolutely gives it. She has to take it, and she does take it, but her fan base are the ones that are I can't believe it.
I have never seen her do an equivalent.
Oh, let me find a clip for you.
You can show me. You can
I'm
show
gonna
me.
find a clip for you, child, because she got
But I'm saying that's why I think people see her as the victim, is because you don't really see her doing it back.
But ask yourself that question too, right? Why don't we see clips of her doing it back? Why don't we see clips of?
It's intentional, right? It's an imaging thing.
It feels
intentional.
Because it is.
Because it is.
Oh my God, because it is. Or we're not gonna say it because that doesn't make news. That doesn't fit the narrative. And I feel like, again, it's something that just
matter.
It's so like glaring to me, and I'm just like, it's okay if people enjoy the racist storyline and the division. That's cool, but like, let's just call it for what it is and just enjoy it for what it is. Like, let's just not pretend that it's not there.
Yeah.
It's a story because of this. And again, like, I think white people collectively, they have someone to root for. They have a dog in the fight, and then there we are, right?